When you mentioned that there isn't a bug reporting system in Kodi, that reminded me of a similar story with Valve. So a lot of game developers find that the vast majority of their bug reports come from a specific group of people. Those people being the Linux users, because they are more likely to be involved in reporting bugs. I was curious if there was any sort of very obvious skew in the data of where things are getting reported from.
Funnily enough, no. I would say no. Reason being is we have again, so on our forums where our sort of first line of support is always done. We have very active communities of users across Windows, Android,
Mm,
and even sort of the Linux sort of space. From everything that I sort of follow and see on there, I don't think one platform vastly outweighs another platform for bug reports
mm,
and issues. And I think it just goes to, I guess, goes to show how how much we're used across each of the major sort of platforms. And we have users, and because of the customizability, maybe that's because of the customizability that a lot of the users are those people that are more engaged in customizing, creating, sort of extending their usage in Kodi, and therefore they are probably just that user that likes or will contribute back those sort of bug reports, that sort of
mm.
stuff. So yeah, we from a platform perspective, I don't think we have a really real big uptick on any particular one. You could probably argue just by sheer weight of numbers that the Android stuff has
Right.
a lot of sort of stuff, but that's just because
Well, yeah, you'd
Android
expect
based.
the platform with the most users to have the most reporting. What was weird with the Valve situation was the number of people that play games on Linux is vastly smaller than the number of people that play games on Windows. So the fact that it outweighed it was like a really weird data point.
Yeah.
So I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Gamers on Windows are used to games crashing and stuff and not being powerless to do anything about
Right.
it, right? Um, Linux users get annoyed with that stuff because they are used to being able to try to fix things themselves.
Mm.
Our Linux users are fairly enterprising, and these are people who figure out workarounds fairly well, right? Whether
Right.
it's our own team members or whether it's community or users at large. Our Windows and our Android users, I feel like, aren't as much because they're not as well versed, which is kind of, which
Mm-hmm.
kind of makes sense from a tech point of view, right? They're used to, with Google Play, we're one click to install, right? You click on it in Google Play and we're there. With Windows, at least you have to go through an installer. With Linux, we don't even ship any compiled version ourselves,
Oh, so you
right?
just leave
Like
that up to
you
the distros to do then.
Exactly. And so, there's a different level there. And by but I think to Brent's point, we have such a robust and strong user community that we don't really notice. I don't know if we notice, right? Maybe if we had one of our moderators on this call, they might feel differently. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm always amazed how much you post on the forums, Brent.
Well, I just said I try not to post as much as I know. I've actually taken a bit of a step back lately, but yeah, it's some of our moderators. So Kodi team is made up of all sorts of people doing all sorts of roles. So it's not just developers. You've got sort of people like Keith doing the admin side of things. We've got sort of team members that moderate forums, and that's predominantly what they do and providing support for that. We've got team members that just do Python add-ons. We've got team members that do core. We've got team members that do the fantastic art that we've got on all our sort of shirts and all the sort of stuff that we do for every release. So having that sort of having the team sort of such a sort of large, I guess, encompassing group of, I guess, what they sort of do and manage around the stuff, I think makes that sort of support stuff a little bit easier. So
Mm-hmm.
just like in companies, when you've got that sort of tier one support to go through, some of our mods can really sort of pick something and use them, say, oh, this is a bug, this is an issue. some of our mods will look at these logs and instantly say, "No, you've done this log in some file," and then it's one less thing that needs to go on to developers to then find out that, well, it was actually sort of just a user support side of things. So our forums are massive in that regards, the user support, and it's not just team members providing that support. As Keith said, it's such a the community on the Kodi forums is very fantastic. We've got sort of people that just spend their own time to provide support to other sort of users that have no sort of, I guess, link to Team Kodi, but they're willing to provide their time and their effort to support sort of people with it. So the community is very vibrant in that regard. So,
so if someone wanted to, oh, sorry, go on.
I just wanted to say, and we really try to uplift those people that we see. You know, when someone notices them, any team member can invite and recommend somebody else to join the team as well, right? And so we really try to bring in people as well from the community as much as possible and make them team members, and hope that they will continue to contribute like they have been. And in a few cases, you know, we have people who maybe started out as a Python developer and this was a hobby of theirs. They learned Python strictly because of XBMC or Kodi. And now they're actually like full senior software developers, and they work in companies and they have no formal training. They just really learned. It's one of these things where there's so much that you can do and there's so much you can learn from. And if you know, are persistent and you try and you're used to reading and trial and error and understanding, it's such a fantastic environment to kind of cultivate that. And we've had a ton of people that we've brought through Google Summer of Code, which is GSOC, right, that have also became one of our board members, Philip, originally started as a Google Summer of Code. Monalise was actually his mentor, if I recall. And and he's now, you know, an active core team member. And we've just been really lucky in that regard to be able to cultivate a community like that. And hopefully we'll continue to do that for many years to come.